I always felt like that she gave a really cool, balanced perspective on the field. You know, she's obviously an attractive woman, but there's depth to her. You know, she understands the sports that she's talking about. How much does this kind of, I know this isn't part of the trial, but how much does what he's doing kind of diminish what she went through? And what she went through was truly a horrible thing. She wasn't looking for this. She wasn't, you know, seeking out fame. She had fame. You know, and it does, you know, it kind of flies in the face of you know, people that have really, you know, been under attack out there. And this guy's, you know, he's like a clown. He's just like a clown.
He definitely has issues with his friend, or, you know, if Bubba the Love Sponge's friend is his friend who needs enemies when you have friends like that, right, Alex?
Well, you know, according to, I mean, this friend, is, quote unquote, goes above and beyond the call of duty. You know, I have best friends, but there's certain lines that I will never cross. You know, and there's certain opportunities I will never present to them. I mean, this is ridiculous. This guy, I never heard of anything like this, to tell you the truth. And maybe, again, you know, I'm not the cool guy like everybody else, but who's circulating in crowds of people that are offering their wives up as sex objects or to have sex with? I don't get it.
Yeah, he offered it to Howard Stern.
Maybe I'm missing
what kind of real man? What kind of real man would do that to his wife? I mean, really.
And what kind
know?
of?
I mean,
not only that, Joe. What kind of real man would accept that invitation?
Oh yeah,
from a friend to do that.
You know,
a real man would say, "Are you crazy? Get the hell out of here! I'm not going to be doing this."
He's just coming out of a divorce too. You really wonder, you know, what went on with that relationship. You know, what you know, gee, I wonder why that thing flew into the side of the mountain. So I don't know. It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
By the way, is anybody here? I mean, I haven't, but Jordan or Joe, have you seen the so-called sex tape involving, you know, Hulk Hogan?
Just what they showed on the testimony.
Yeah, the digitized stuff I've seen on HLN.
It's very fuzzy. Yeah. It's about 90 seconds from what I saw, and what I've been told at least also. The quality is horrible, but you know, he's on the phone. He's naked at one point, and he's talking to her about his package. You know, in excerpts that came out in the Inquirer, and then he went on a raid about his daughter going out with a African American, and
really.
Yeah, and he was caught saying words to the effect of, "Well, if he's gonna go, she's gonna go out with one of those, and you know, at least she should go out with a basketball player." But in fairness to Hulk Hogan, he has a lot of black friends and a lot of black people. George Foreman, I could go on, came to his aid, and you know, Muhammad Ali, daughter. A lot of people that know Hulk Hogan, you know, forgave him because they know, you know, one bad thing, they're not going to kill him for the rest of his career. No. But, Alex, from a defense attorney's standpoint, do you think he will be awarded any damages?
It wouldn't surprise me if they find Gawker guilty of, you know, intentionally putting this video on the internet and then awarding Hulk Hogan $1 in damages. And juries have been known to do that. You know, they'll say, okay, you know, yeah, we agree that, you know, you were wrong, but we don't really think you deserve many damages. We're going to give you $1. And that would be, you know, that would be another slap in the face to Hulk Hogan. It's time for him to, you know, he really needs to hang it up and get himself another gig somewhere. But, you know, this thing just didn't work for him. You know.
What didn't work is for the former pitchman, Jared, as he got it in prison. Here's some sound, and we'll talk on the other side.
Convicted pedophile and ex-Subway pitchman Jared Foogle was pummeled in a vicious prison yard attack, according to a new report. The beatdown was delivered by convicted armed robber Stephen Nigg during a January 29th incident at a Colorado low-security prison, according to TMZ. The 60-year-old Nigg tackled Fogel during a brawl in the facility's recreation yard and pummeled his face. The disgraced Indiana sex offender suffered a swollen face, scratched neck, and bloody nose, while Nigg walked away unscathed, the report said. It isn't clear why exactly the attack took place.
Alex Sanchez, you've been calling this from the early parts of the summer. You said this was going to happen, and by golly, it did happen.
Yeah, well, I don't think one needs to be a soothsayer to figure that Jared Foogle is going to be in jail. I mean, be attacked when he's in jail. I mean, he's like, one of the world's most notorious sex fiends, simply because he was the head of the Subway thing. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows he's got money. I hear he was walking around the prison like he's, a gangster, because he's got so much money. He was paying off all these thugs.
Put on 30 pounds, too.
Yeah, he put on a lot of weight, but he was paying off all these people, not walking around giving them money, but he'd have family, relatives deliver money to their family, to their commissary, which is exactly what I said on one of the shows previously. And so he was taking care of a lot of these thugs. And so he was walking around and acting like, he was immune to the violence that takes place in jail, except not everybody in jail, believe it or not, is mentally stable. And there are people in jail that, they don't think along the normal lines of thinking. And this guy, Nigg, or whatever his name is, decided he wanted to teach him a lesson. And he taught him a lesson. And I got news for you. This guy's in for a lot of lessons at that jail. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Joseph Scott actually put it on Facebook, or he had his wife probably do it, or whomever he's with, post the fact that the beating went down. We've been speaking about this since last summer. You probably expected something like this, right, Joseph?
Yeah, I did, Jordan. I got to tell you, I don't want to sit here and tell old war stories, but from my perspective, but I can tell you this for those. I know that Alex has had to visit clients that are incarcerated, but from my perspective, I've had to go to prisons to work deaths, to actually investigate deaths when I was with the coroner in New Orleans and with the ME in Atlanta. And even as an official, carrying a badge, being there as a representative of the medical examiner coroner's office and, working the scene, you get into that environment and you're no longer in your own world. This is a world. It's like someone stuck you in a spaceship and set you down on the surface of Mars. It is hostile. It is foreboding. It even sounds different. I mean, it's this. For those that have never been inside of one of these big institutions in the central area, I'm not talking about out in the yard, but in the central area where everybody in the commons area, it's like even if the smallest sound is made, like bumping up against a rail, it echoes through the whole place. Everything's metallic. So I can only imagine him being inside of this environment. He's had a real true dose of reality, and I reflect back to those times I had to listen to those disgusting telephone calls that had been taped, and him talking about the things that he wanted to do to these poor defenseless children.
Yes.
I start to think about karma, and like Alex mentioned, what the future holds for him in this environment. I would really be surprised if he were to survive to the end of his term. I had friends that were involved in the Dahmer investigation.
Really?
Up in Milwaukee years ago, with the medical examiner's office up there. And so I kind of followed it. I kind of had an insider's view of a lot of stuff that had happened behind the scenes, and it was, very disgusting, depraved stuff. And even after the the case was decided and Dahmer was sent off to the state pen in Wisconsin, it wasn't too long after that they had him on a mock detail, and he was beaten to death. And anytime you're a high-profile inmate like this, you have got a gigantic target on your back, because it's like Alex said, their concept of reality versus the reality that we have on the outside is completely different. That's their world. And if they can establish the fact that they are the cock of the walk in that environment, and that means you're beating down whoever the newest, biggest, baddest person is that enters that world, that just increases your value or your status in that environment. So I have no doubt that this inmate that did this finds kitty rapers repugnant, but he's also got skin in the game here too. Now he's known. I mean, he's known in that, even though it's a minimum security prison, he's known, and this guy's a hardened felon. I mean, he's done time for armed robbery for a while, and he got out, and then he wound up getting hooked up on weapons charges. He had gone straight and was working on the outside in a civilian job, and of course he's a convicted felon, and he starts dealing in guns, and they put him back in this facility. So it's going to be really interesting to watch the saga of Jared as it develops.
You know what's going to happen, Joe, with this guy? Joe, you know what's going to happen with this guy? This Jared, he's gonna slowly morph into one of these Breaking Bad type guys, because he's got money.
Good point.
And the guy that beat him up, right? He may be, laughing and he's happy and he punched Jared in the face, but the people that are being paid to protect Jared, they're gonna say to themselves, we're gonna have to retaliate against this guy. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that guy gets seriously beaten up because he attacked Jared, because Jared is valuable. He's worth money, and he's worth money to many, many inmates in there, and they want to protect their interests. And Jared is probably going to send a message to those guys, hey, I'm paying you money, you didn't protect me, you better do something about this. Or those guys on their own are going to go and take matters into their own hands and say, hey, don't you mess with our little,
investment
money operation here. And this guy, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this guy who just beat up Jared ends up getting the hell beat out of himself.
And Alex, you could attest to this. The charge that he's in there for, you are better off killing your wife, not that you should, of course, in a prison like that than being charged for what he's charged for. True or false?
Oh, yeah. There's a million wife killers in jail. And they're not looked at as, the worst. They're looked at as, just your average criminal, serving life imprisonment. People, even criminals, and I've known a lot of criminals because I've represented them for many years, most of them draw the line when it comes to kids. Everybody was a kid. Everybody's got little sisters and brothers. Most people find kids to be, unthreatening. And when news comes in that somebody's hurt a kid, that's not looked upon very kindly by the rest of the population. And quite often those guys have to live in solitary confinement or in very restrictive conditions because they're going to be attacked. So, if you're going to go to jail for anything, don't go to jail for that. As a matter of fact, what a lot of people do when they get arrested for crimes like that, even though they didn't kill anybody, when they get to jail, they start telling everybody they're in jail for murder. I'm here for murder. Even though they didn't kill anybody, they just molested somebody, which is bad enough. But they don't want anybody to know that. They want everybody to think they were there for murder, to somehow immunize them from retaliation.
Because there's always that inmate that can be in there for a long time and it's got nothing to lose, basically. And that'll notch one up on their belt, right?
Yeah.
Wow.